So I would love to hear a little bit about a takeaway or two that you were able to come home with from Kidney Week in reference to your studies at membranous nephropathy. Kind of a state of membranous, kind of where we are with the disease and education and trials and things like that. Yeah.
Yeah, so Kidney Week, some people call it Kidney Christmas. It's a chance for certainly American kidney researchers, healthcare providers, run by the American Society of Nephrology, but it's also a global event. We got, you know, 10 to 15,000 people attending this, and it was just in Houston. It goes to major convention centers across the nation. But yeah, it was last week and ended on Sunday. You find out everything from new clinical trials that have come out in every aspect of kidney disease to the most detailed research that people are doing and presenting on posters. So we were fortunate to have a uh, late Saturday afternoon session on membranous nephropathy, and I was one of the speakers and organizers. And when we got that time slot, I was just devastated because Saturday afternoon, college football going on. It was 85 degrees. I felt no one was going to come to this thing. Preparing for dinner plans, um, but we had a two-tiered auditorium stadium, and it was quite full. So the interest is certainly there. And we talked about sort of how the science has helped patients. Then there was something on a session on do we even need a kidney biopsy? Um, I talked a bit about biomarkers and how that informs treatment, and then there was a session on ongoing, like the newer treatments that are upcoming and trials that are going on. And I think since PLA2R, and that's the major target in primary membranous nephropathy, they found like 30 other targets, which has been very difficult to wrap anyone's head around because these are, I mean, membranous nephropathy itself is rare. Like in the United States, about 10 per million people are diagnosed every year. So that's only like 3,000 people a year. Um, Many of those will be PLA2R, but the rest of them are all these others scattered. So you may have like a few, 5 to 10 people with any of these other diseases a year, and it's very difficult to study that, right? Um,
How does that reflect like these clinical trials that are coming out? If you got you're trying to cast such a wide net, but you're looking for such a small population of people, how are the clinical trials even going to be really, effective?
yeah, and that's a big issue, and you were part of these discussions a few years ago at a meeting in Arlington, Virginia. Um, because the anti-PLA2R as a biomarker is great. And we use it clinically, we use it for diagnosis, we use it for monitoring whether patients are, if the treatment is working, if they're going into a remission. But the FDA doesn't have enough information yet to allow us officially to do that. A physician, healthcare provider can use something off-label. Rituximab isn't even FDA approved for rituximab. We're using it off-label. Same thing for a diagnostic test like anti-PLA2R. We're using it off-label to monitor disease, and our KDIGO international guidelines recommend that as well. But unfortunately, for official uses like a clinical trial, the companies can't use anti-PLA2R to monitor how that therapeutic is working. Um, so we're trying to gather data globally in an effort called Parasol 2.0 to get enough information to present this to the FDA to say, can we use this for treatment guidelines? So that's the easy one, right?
Yeah.
PLA2R, the majority of patients with membranous. Some trials are even enriching patients. They'll allow a patient with a level over, some arbitrary number
Yeah.
to be in their trial. We're realizing that what does that mean for anyone who doesn't have this type of membranous nephropathy? Um, we can't exclude patients. There aren't enough of them, but we also want a mechanism by which we can know if a drug is working.
Correct.
Um, you know, IgA nephropathy, which is another more common but still rare glomerular kidney disease, has recently benefited by an FDA decision called accelerated approval. So if a new drug comes out, if that study shows that that drug can lower the urine protein by more than 30% from baseline, that drug can get accelerated approval and go out on the market, as long as the company finishes their trial and shows that there's a longer term effect on kidney function. So there are a lot of new medicines coming out in IgA nephropathy, and we wish that were the case for membranous nephropathy, but because of the slow reduction of proteinuria, that's not a wonderful target. So we'd rather use something like the anti-PLA2R, but again, what does that mean for someone who doesn't have
Who doesn't have
this form?